Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're joining me today, it means you're all about absolute precision, and you are ready to master a truly sophisticated piece of color measurement equipment, the Color i7 Spectrophotometer. So let's just dive right in and get your workspace functioning flawlessly.
The Color i7 is an absolute powerhouse. We're talking about a reference-level, dual-beam sphere benchtop spectrophotometer, and it's designed to offer exact agreement with top-tier instruments, like the 7000A and the Color i5. With its pulse xenon D65 calibrated illumination, this machine is capable of capturing highly precise measurements in a mere 2.7 to 4 seconds. And yeah, that includes both the flash and the data acquisition. It's incredibly fast.
But, all that incredible speed and accuracy really brings up a very important question. How do you guarantee absolute color precision right out of the box? How do we ensure this sophisticated machine actually delivers reliable data from the very first measurement you take? Well, the answer lies entirely in a meticulous, correct setup process.
So here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, we'll meet the Color i7. Number 2, setting up the sample preview. 3, the calibration process. 4, hardware configuration. And finally, number 5, ready for measurement.
All right, part 1. Meet the Color i7, focusing on unboxing and hardware. When you first crack open that shipping container, along with the software, you're going to find a set of highly specific, essential physical components. You'll pull out the main unit itself and its 12-volt power supply. But you really need to pay close attention to the smaller boxes here, because you need to locate your round white calibration tile, the green performance tile, and the black trap. Those are absolutely non-negotiable for this setup. You're also going to find a set of aperture plates. Those range from 6mm up to 25mm. And finally, your USB and RS-232 cables, which is actually fantastic because having both of those interfaces really eliminates any connectivity issues with your PC.
Moving right along to part 2, setting up the sample preview, focusing on targeting and placement. Now you actually have two primary options for sample targeting. First is the manual sample door. You can just use your fingertips to open this door at the pry notches and gently lower it all the way down. This gives you a direct, completely unobstructed physical view of your sample right at the viewport. But your second option is the optional LCD sample preview monitor. Using an internal camera, this little monitor projects a live picture of whatever is at the viewport, which lets you easily adjust your sample placement without having to awkwardly bend down and look through the manual door. If you do have that optional LCD monitor, installing it is just incredibly straightforward. First, you just remove the preview monitor mounting screw cap that's located right next to the status panel on top of the instrument and align the monitor stem's mounting screw directly into that hole. Second, you just use the adjustment knob on the stem to pivot the monitor around its ball joint until you've got the perfect viewing angle. Third, connect the supplied DIN 8 cable and the video cables. And finally, just hit the power button on the side of the monitor.
Securing that monitor stem into the top of the unit is a total breeze. Then, moving around to the rear connections, you just simply plug the yellow connector into the video out port at the back of the instrument, and the black connector goes right into external monitor power out. It is a super clean, simple wiring setup that honestly gets you a live feed in just a couple of minutes.
Okay, part 3. This is a big one, the calibration process, where we set our baseline.
I really cannot overstate the importance of this rule. Calibration is absolutely required every 8 hours of spectrophotometer operation. But it doesn't stop there. You also have to recalibrate anytime you change the hardware configuration. So that means if you change the measurement mode from reflectance to transmittance, if you swap the aperture size, or if you change the specular included or excluded condition, you have got to recalibrate. Oh, and on the front status panel of your device, there's a calibrated LED. If you see that turn from green to red, well, the system is literally telling you it's time to calibrate.
Now, your calibration workflow is going to differ depending on what you're actually measuring. For a standard reflectance calibration, you'll use your software interface to launch the process, and it'll prompt you to present your round white calibration tile, followed directly by the black trap. But if you're doing a transmission calibration, the physical components change completely. You're going to need to mount the special barium-coated aperture plate to the front measurement port. Then, for the black calibration, you will actually place the sample transmission holder inside the transmission compartment and load a specific black plastic blocking panel right into it.
Section 4 already. Let's talk hardware configuration and prep for measurement.
Honestly, one of the best design features of the Color i7 is how you swap out the aperture plates without needing a single tool. Because they're magnetized, you literally just apply a little pressure to pop the current plate out, Fit your new plate, whether that's the 6mm, 10mm, 17mm, or the big 25mm, over the rim, and just let it satisfyingly snap firmly into place.
And here is where the hardware and software really talk to each other. When you swap that magnetic aperture plate and select it in your software, the Color i7 has a self-adjusting zoom lens that automatically moves to synchronize with your new aperture size. It completely eliminates configuration errors, which is huge. Plus, your software completely controls whether your measurement is specular included or excluded. Or actually, you can even do both simultaneously. And lastly, the instrument has an automated 400nm UV filter. You can fully exclude UV or calibrate it using a provided checker to perfectly match D65 daylight.
Finally, Section 5. We are ready for measurement. Just a few final setup steps to go.
So for standard reflectance measurements, you'll be using the sample arm right at the front of the unit. And if you're handling delicate materials and you're worried about crushing them, seriously, don't be. You just grasp the arm, pull it fully open towards you, present your sample at the viewport, and let go. The spring on this sample arm is mechanically dampened, so it closes smoothly, slowly, applying exactly the right amount of pressure to safely secure the material without causing any damage whatsoever.
Now, if you are taking a transmission measurement, say you're analyzing a thin plastic film or maybe a liquid, you actually won't use that front viewport. Instead, you just use your fingers to slide the top cover of the spectrophotometer toward the rear, and that exposes the large interior transmission compartment, where you can securely mount your sample holder for films or a cuvette flow cell stand for liquids directly inside the machine.
And just like that, we've walked through the entire physical setup process, from unboxing the essential cables and those crucial calibration tiles to mounting the live preview monitor, running your daily calibration routine, snapping in the correct magnetic aperture, and safely loading your sample. Your Color i7 is now perfectly calibrated and flawlessly configured. It is officially ready to deliver that sub-4-second precision we talked about. So my final question to you is, what standard will you set today? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy measuring.